Dane, long time no see, man. How are you in Tennessee today?
Yeah, it's been a while and a little road weary, but excited for tonight. I'm re-energized because who we're bringing on. It's a
Yeah,
topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart, and I'm looking forward to hearing and learning something tonight. Definitely.
same here, man. Well, best of luck to you guys this week. I know you're calling the tournament for Gray. We'll be watching and
Yeah.
cheering you guys on. That's the Chaos flagship team. So, you guys start playing tomorrow. Is that right?
Actually, we start playing Tuesday. All the pomp and circumstance, I guess you'd call it, all the parades and all those fun deals before the tournament starts will be tomorrow. So it's going to be a
I
fun
gotcha.
day.
Some
Tiring day,
fun
but it's going to be fun. Yeah,
some fun before the fun. I love that. So you're
absolutely.
definitely right, Dane. Our guest that we'll bring on here in a minute, Danielle Wallace. She's a mental health professional that specializes in
Yeah.
sports. We'll be getting to her in a second. I had a chance to live stream her at the recent AU event when Athletes Unlimited came through, and she
Mhm.
really her message got a hold of my heart and a lot of parents. She talked a lot about preventing burnout and using her
Yeah.
platform as a mental health pro to help not
Yeah.
only kids but parents overcome that burnout and that mental fatigue that comes from
Yeah.
sports. You and I have been doing this for a long time. We've coached, we have athletes in the game.
Yeah.
Sydney's been playing for what, 9 years now, Dane? Something like
It
that.
feels, it
So,
feels like it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how that math works out. She's 13. She's playing for about 15
Yeah, it
years
feels
now. It
like
feels like,
it,
yeah.
right? And that, my girls, of course, both of mine have played forever. You played, of course. So sports
Yeah.
psychology and sports emphasis is a big part of what we do, but there's also a very real side of
Absolutely.
the mental health side. I remember back in
Yeah.
the early days when like Sierra Simon would tell us things about mental health, Coach Joe Coons, of course, Coach Kenny. So we've been wanting
Mhm.
for a very long time to get someone who is way smarter than we are in the world of mental
Yeah.
health and that specializes in sports. So I want to get into it and bring on this amazing guest,
Yeah.
Danielle Wallace. Danielle, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for the kind words.
All
Yeah.
true, Danielle. We
Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yes,
Sure, of
it's
course.
amazing, Danielle, to have you. Like I said, I got to see you speak. I tried to live stream most of it. It was amazing your topic on burnout and the way you really approached the parent side. It was really like I needed to hear that. I know a lot of parents watch that. We're still getting comments saying thank you for broadcasting her message,
Yeah.
and you're definitely doing the
Yeah.
world a service, Danielle. So
Yeah.
I'm going to jump
Absolutely.
into some questions for you. Dana and I will jump back and forth. This topic, though, when you're working on becoming a mental health professional, I know that you're working feverishly to get all that done and wrapped up and all the stuff that goes with it. But tell me why a little bit, why the emphasis on sports science or whatever word we can use, why the emphasis on sports mental health, if you will. Where'd that
Mm.
come from for you?
Well, for me, I've been an athlete for decades, and so sports is really near and dear to my heart. And honestly, psychology has really been a big part of my life too. And so, really putting those two together, I was an athlete from gosh, it nowadays kids are athletes at like 4 years old, but back
Yeah.
when I was growing up, it was early to start at 10. And so I was
Yeah.
playing volleyball at 10. I was playing softball and everything. And it wasn't until I graduated college where I played volleyball that I realized that I had such crippling performance anxiety in college.
Mm.
And so looking back on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was it. That was my problem. And so and marrying the two, sports and
Yeah.
psychology, it's like it makes total sense. And you see, the more that I talk about it, the more that I hear back from it,
Mm.
Yeah.
everybody struggles with it.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah.
I've never thought of that. Danny, you can say this too. Like it's true. There's that performance anxiety that comes with sports, and whether you're walking up to the plate or shooting that free throw, or maybe it's your
Yeah.
turn to serve. I never really have given it much thought. You're spot on, Danielle. Like the performance anxiety that comes with sports is
Yeah.
there's nothing like it. It's not butterflies, right, Dane? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also as a parent, you always want your child to have fun playing the game that they love. And sometimes you want them to do well and you kind of maybe overstep and push them a little too hard. And I can understand now how at a younger age that mental health is so important. So eh, going into that field, Danielle, what is maybe one of the more rewarding things, or what is possibly your favorite thing about this genre of mental health that you work with?
yeah, it's good.
So not only have I been an athlete, but I've also been a coach. And so I've seen, as a coach, your favorite part is when you see it click. And so you see a kid struggling with a certain aspect of the game, like I coached volleyball. So for me, it's like they can't master the float serve and they just can't, and they struggle and struggle. And then you see it happen. It happens once and you see the look on their face and it's like, it's over. Like they've got it. And so for me, that is the most rewarding part when you see that sort of transformation, whether it's slow or fast. It's like the aha moment and really just helping people. Those have been like for me the most important things and my favorite parts, but also I really enjoy meeting new people that, especially parents, that say they also struggle with I struggled with anxiety when I played sports, but it wasn't a big deal, we just rubbed some dirt in it.
Man,
And
yeah,
in the old days. And now as a parent, it's like nobody thinks about the parents of kids, of youth athletes. It's like, oh, my kid is struggling, they need help, but what about us? Like I feel like I have so much performance anxiety watching my own kids play.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
Another cool thing that I just learned, and it didn't occur to me that I am nervous. My heart's racing. I hope he makes that free throw. Uh, so yeah, that's been really interesting too to learn.
It's like I said when I watched you kind of teach this seminar. Gosh, it's been going on a month and a half now. Time just flies.
Yeah.
I kind of got a two-part question, Dane, before you take four, but I got a two-part question for Danielle. When you're thinking about from your coaching side, whether it is volleyball or basketball or your years of playing as a coach, and we like to ask a lot of coaches this question: what do you think the most eye-opening thing that you've learned? Because you teach a lot to other kids and other parents. What have you learned the most so far being a coach in this realm?
Being a coach,
Bonus question. Yeah. What have you learned?
I think the biggest thing for me is being in their shoes.
Yeah.
I think as a coach, I think a lot of times people see you're not trying, you don't care, and when a kid is struggling, they look like they don't care, but a lot of times that like don't care look is actually I care so much, I'm now immobilized, and this is my response. And
Wow.
so I learned that when I was coaching, and I had some kids that other coaches wouldn't add them to their team. Like, no, she has an attitude. I don't want her on my team. And I'm like, but she's a really good hitter. I think I can make it work. And so just kind of meeting them where they are, I think is probably the biggest thing. And she really did struggle with a bunch of anxiety, a bunch of imposter syndrome. Even though she was as good as she was so insecure. And so
Man.
like my husband actually ended up coaching her in college later, that she had grown so much just by, somebody actually listening.
Wow. It's crazy, Danielle, because Dane, you talked about this. Dane has got a few years on me. We talk about the differences in coaching kids nowadays versus when they were playing and I was playing. Danielle, you could speak to this. It's and maybe Dane a little bit too. It's a different world. You can't just use this like cookie cutter, one size fits all. You can't yell at every kid, blow a whistle, and throw stuff around, right, Dane? I mean, you've talked about this too, right?
Yeah,
quite a bit.
Absolutely. I mean, back like you said, whenever we were younger, it's like, oh, just rub some dirt on it, get back out there. What's the matter with you? But now we're starting to learn, thankfully as a society, we're starting to learn to, read our children or read the room, as they say. And I'm sure Danielle could speak to this is that something that you encourage the coaches and parents to do as they move forward with their athletes as well? Maybe read the room a little bit more.
Oh man, 100%. I know that it's, a lot of times looking at mental health and worrying about what's going on in here is sometimes seen as coddling today.
Yeah.
But I think that there is coddling, but then there's understanding what's really going on. And I think if you do read the room, you're going to get a lot more. Number one, you're going to get a lot more out of your athletes. And number two, you're going to get a lot more out of athletes that may have quit in a different environment. And so kids could last longer in the sport and enjoy it more and just have a better experience overall. If, I always say, my husband and I talk about this all the time because it's, my world, but they just want somebody to believe in them. If you get a coach that believes in you, you're going to thrive. If you get teammates that surround you and support you, Like it's the best.
Wow,
Yeah.
man. You're already kind of preaching, and that's, it's interesting. Like, just believe in me. I like the message of what you said,
Yeah.
and that's what really, again, I keep going back to what gravitated me. You guys, I'm going to throw a shameless plug. If you haven't watched it, go watch it on her page. Go watch her
Yeah.
seminar that she did about
Yeah.
preventing burnout. It's awesome. Shameless plug for Danielle. Kind of the part two question on that, Danielle. And this is actually something I keep asking. Like, we pull for things. We're always kind of looking
Yeah.
and pulling from sources. Obviously, as someone who's in the world of mental health, I know you probably work with other counselors and coaches. What's maybe 2 or 3 sources you go to, whether it may be books, ministers, life coaches? What's a couple, 2 or 3 sources of influence you pull from to kind of gather your basket of information to give back to others, if you will, you know?
You're going to limit me to 2 or 3?
Or no, as many as you want. Yeah, just a handful, you know, like, what do you pull from? Like, what's your sources? I'm curious,
I
you
could
know?
speak for days on this.
Yeah.
Okay. So recently I read a book by George Mumford, and
Okay.
he's actually the meditation guru for the Bulls and I'm going to space
Wow.
here.
I was thinking Mumford and Sons, not the band, right? George
I
Mumford.
know,
Kidding.
I know.
Totally kidding.
But during their championship runs, the Bulls and the
Mhm.
Lakers, I want to say. And
Yeah.
so he would meet with like Michael Jordan, Kobe, and he worked with them on meditation. And so that they had this whole meditation routine. And so he would help them work on being present and
Wow.
really improve the level of their game. And I use this a little bit in my presentation with Kobe being laser focused.
Yeah.
Because he's present in the moment. He's not snubbing, Chris Rock or whatever was going on in that photo, but it's like they're so honed in and focused that you're able to perform at a much higher level because you're not worried about anything around you. But he has a called The Mindful Athlete, and it has a lot of really good tips about just being present. His big thing is like when you're playing, you're in the eye of the hurricane. You're right in the middle. You got all this stuff swirling around you. It's the negativity. It's a comparison. It's all that stuff swirling around you, but you can't get wrapped up in that. You got to stay in the calm center.
Wow.
It's big, yeah, and it's a really good read. So yeah, he was a good expert. Some others, Brene Brown, I love her. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of her.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think she's really good, especially for female athletes, in feeling not alone and understanding your emotions. So she has a whole book on emotions that I think is really good.
Okay. Okay.
And then I would say, what's that? Inside Out, the movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great movie. I love that movie.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Love it.
Both of them are good.
Out, and the second one is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
recommend
well,
it
just
to everybody. And what's creepy? It's a cartoon.
It's great. Yeah. Yeah.
it's well done.
Yes, it's so well done, and even from a therapist perspective, they explain anxiety so clearly, and they do it from a lens of sports.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I feel like that's such a good, like my kids watched it and they're like, oh, yeah, that's me. I felt like that. And so it was such a good like family movie for us to go see.
That's your homework, Dan. Go watch Inside Out again, man. That's your homework before you call the game on Tuesday, okay?
Yeah, my daughter actually dragged me to the theater to watch it. And I enjoyed the first one. And like you said, the second one, I thought it was even better.
That's cool,
usually
man.
the sequel, there's a little bit of, something lacking, but I thought it was better. So that's definitely a good point to go to any parent out there to go watch that, especially a father, like you say.
Yeah.
I mean, with fathers, you tend to push your kids all the same, but there's definitely a difference between the sons and daughters. So
spot
we're
on,
all learning that.
Yes.
So as we move forward with, the things you do with these athletes, and all the influences you bring to them, and obviously the library of people that have influenced you, what do you see going forward now? What's your next step going forward into 2024 and beyond to kind of help get this message and this, I guess, avenue to more and more people? What is maybe on the horizon for you?
Well, I'm taking clients in next month. And so that'll be a pretty big thing, I think. I'm very excited about that.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, I've already started promoting because I want to get a lot of sports clients. I know that there aren't very many, maybe not any female sports focused therapist in our area. And so I really want to like be that for the girls that may not want to talk to a guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that. And then we're our group of 3, we're going to do more speaking gigs at seminars, hopefully to really continue the whole burnout conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're another one in Oklahoma coming up, hopefully. So
that's awesome. That's
wow.
cool. Any memoirs or books down the road? Because I know you got a lot of useful information. So
yeah,
I'd love to get
absolutely.
my hands on a manual or something. You think that'll be in the works one day, Danielle? Maybe down the road, or
yeah, definitely. I'm a writer.
down the road. Yeah,
like I was a writer for
that's
almost
awesome.
20 years, and so it's natural for me to go, this could be a book. So
Okay.
I'm sure I'll get to that point eventually. Yeah.
I'll throw you some ideas, and all you got to do is just mention me and Dan in the back somewhere. That's all I need. I just need a little, like, one line in the book. Okay. No, but you said
Dad,
something
I'll
too
quote
before
you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. You said something during the seminar that I go back to before I go into Rapid, and you were talking about when you're looking at the subject of, hey, I really enjoyed watching you play. And this when I wrote down some notes on my favorite part of your seminar. And again, you guys got to go watch it. But you talked about how sometimes parents would be like, "Oh, that wasn't a good hit or wasn't a good shot." We'll kind of think that, if like a kid maybe isn't where they want to be, but you're like instead say, "Hey, I really enjoyed watching it play, not so much talking about their performance, but how they like the enjoyment of the game itself." That's really kind of helped me. I just got to say thank you before I made this note of this. That's helped me with my own kids, with my daughters. They both are athletes. Hey, I enjoyed watching you play. I was so proud of your effort today. Just those verbiages, Danielle, that you gave us, that's been a huge impact even in my life in the past month and a half. And I really thank you for that. That was powerful. So
I love to hear that. That's amazing.
yeah.
I think that we as parents forget that the things that we don't say are still heard by our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they already, judge themselves. Like they put themselves on this little judgmental platform, and then they think, oh, mom and dad think that I didn't do well. And they know what they did wrong. They probably already know, especially if they've been playing this many years.
Yeah.
And they're trying to please us. It's that like, I made a play at first. Mom, dad, you see that? And so
watching.
They're dying for your approval. And so I really try to take all judgment, good or bad, out of it. And I'm so excited for you. Like,
That's cool.
I'm glad that you're happy. You look like you're having fun. So yeah, it's helped me.
That's
too.
cool. Love it. Yeah, I used it at a tournament a few weeks ago. We did well in the tournament, but it was just like, hey, I'm so proud of you watching you play. So I made a note of that. It was really cool. So we're going to transition for a little bit, Danielle, something that we're known for in all 300 episodes or so. We have a little segment to make you chuckle that's called Rapid Fire. Okay. Now what this is, if you've watched any before, Rapid, these are some rando stuff. Probably has nothing to even do with what you've ever would have thought you'd be asking in your life. I guarantee you in all media or things that you've done, I promise you never had questions like this. Okay. And the emphasis is me and Dane will bet on what we think you're going to say. You go with whatever answer you feel is right. There's no wrong answer. And the winner, whoever picks your personality the closest, is the winner of the rapid fire segment. Okay. Dane owes me like 600 lunches or something. I'm like 2. So no wrong answer. This is something you can go back in time into the future. Nothing's off the table during this segment. It's just a PG but really weird rapid fire segment. Okay. So you ready? Ready?
Yep.
All right, Dane, you ready? Here we go, Dane.
Yep,
so
let's do it.
First question I know about your basketball and your volleyball acumen. So somehow this gets worked into it. You're transferred back in time as the person that you are now. You're transferred back into 1997. Like you just transplant, go back in time, and you show up at the NBA All-Star game and you say, hey, you're asked to play a game of horse at the NBA All-Star game, and you can choose your opponent at the NBA All-Star game. Your 2 choices to go against is Tupac or B.I.G. I guess it'd be 95. Well, it's 95. But you can play horse against Pac or Biggie. Which one are you going against?
Biggie.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, Dane, I had Tupac. Dane, which one did you have on that?
Oh yeah, I had Tupac as well.
Okay, yeah, I gotta say, yeah, okay, no wrong answer. So you go with the heart, no wrong answer. I got a feeling though, it's gonna slant the rest of my questions. So here we go. Question two: during your highlight of being an athlete, your collegiate career, we're gonna say when you were playing, they brought back in time NIL to when you and your husband were playing in college. So you were offered an NIL scholarship when you were playing. The two companies you can choose from to sponsor you as a volleyball superstar, NIL, you could have a sponsorship from Tabasco or a sponsorship by Dunkin' Donuts. Which one would you have rather had sponsor you if you had an NIL deal?
Tabasco.
Let's go. I have one for one. Dan, did you have Tabasco or Dunkin'?
No, that's Dunkin' Donuts. Maybe
Let's go,
because
Dane.
maybe because I'm hungry right now.
Right?
What'd
Let's
you
go,
do
man.
with it? Spicy?
Let's go. I love it.
Oh
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah. There you go. I didn't think
I
of
love
that
it.
avenue.
Yeah, love it. So a couple more on this, okay? So this one is interesting. We're going to take you back into the Old Testament Bible days. We're picking you up. You're going way back in time, okay? So you're like kind of known for being this writer and just kind of wise lady that you are. And they take you back and say, hey, we want you to help us solve one of these two like problems. Like we need you to basically take on these opponents. So check this out. Either A, you can play a game of tic-tac-toe. Check this out. It's crazy. Play a game of tic-tac-toe against Goliath, or you can play a game of tic-tac-toe against Pharaoh. You just get transferred back in time, play a game of tic-tac-toe, Goliath or Pharaoh. Which one do you want to go against?
Goliath.
That's a rando question. I had Pharaoh on that one. Dan, which one did you have on that?
I'd go somehow pick Goliath on that.
Okay,
but-
okay. That's an interesting little topic. You're just transferred back in time, sitting there playing. You like this gigantic dude playing tic-tac-toe. So again, I told you they're random. Yeah. So a couple more. So when you start your next month, your sessions and all of that, you're asked to come out and do kind of like a on-site kind of like counseling session after a game. Okay. So it's a basketball game. We'll say you got a client, you show up at a game. But what you're not told is for your first session, you can only coach the kid using lyrics from one of these two artists. For the first session, you can only use song lyrics to coach this kid, okay? Kind of a post-game mental health coaching. Your two choices, you can coach the kid using lyrics from Lauryn Hill, or you can coach the kid using lyrics from Dr. Dre. Lauryn Hill, Dr. Dre, love them both. Which one are you going with to coach this kid?
I'd say Lauryn Hill.
Let's go. I did not have that one. I had Dr. Dre. I just feel like the aggressive, like, I don't know. I just had this thing going. Dane, which one do you have on that,
That's a
Dane?
hard one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I think Dr. Dre would have been a good one for us kids back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Lauryn Hill's a little bit more modern day there.
A little bit more, little. I got you. Okay, so Dane, looks like we're tied. So last one. Okay, so a lot of basketball stuff from your basketball acumen. So check this out. Last one, you're walking down the street. You're just walking down the street, and two basketball players come and say, "Hey, Danielle, let's go right now. Jump rope tournament right here in the middle of the street. Jump rope tournament. If you beat me, you get lunch." On the other side of the street, the people that ask you this is Shaquille O'Neal or Karl Malone. Who do you want to jump rope against? Shaq, Karl Malone. Who do you want to face?
Shaq, 100%.
I got you on that one. I really did. I love Shaq. He's so funny, but I think you'd have a pretty good chance of maybe hanging with him. Dane, which one do you have on that?
Oh yeah, I had O'Neal. Oh yeah, the mailman. The dude's
Got you.
pretty good. He's pretty agile, so I think he'd be a tough out.
So yeah, okay, got you. So it looks like Dane, we ended up tying, man. So yet again, Dane, we ended up tying. So you're off the hook for this one, Dane. So, but Daniel, that's a little segment during the show we always do called Rapid Fire. So thank you for being a good sport. Hope you enjoyed that. A little bit different than the usual questions. Okay, so Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, on this last part, Daniel, we were usually called an open mic, but you're kind of a special guest, with obviously a very expertise field that you do. So I kind of wanted to go a different way with it. I had like a two-part question for you. Josh and I, we work with a lot of younger athletes, female athletes. They're in that 7th, 8th, getting ready to go into high school age. What would maybe something you could tell them, that age group of girls or even boys as well, as they're growing into adulthood and obviously going into sports in that next level? Maybe speak on something that how they can kind of balance those two worlds of, the mental health as far as the pressures of going into athletics in a high school level, and also, the things that are in their head as they grow into an adult as well. How would you tell them to balance those two worlds out for themselves?
Mm.
When I hear you talk about seventh and eighth graders, my biggest thing is comparison.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point where we start comparing ourselves to everybody else. Like
Yeah.
everybody's bodies are changing at different rates. I go to a seventh grade tournament, and there's a kid who's 3 feet tall, and there's a kid who's 6 feet tall, and they're the same age.
Yeah.
And it's insane. And so I think it could be really demoralizing for the kid that's a late bloomer to see a kid excel so quickly, and what's wrong with me that I can't do what they're doing. And the same goes for girls. That's like boys and girls, but like with girls, especially at that age, they're comparing, like, maybe there's a little bit of weight gain or, whatever. So I think there's a lot that goes on there. So I think the biggest thing is don't compare, especially going into high school. Like, girls start excelling at sports around that time. Boys, maybe after their freshman year, really start, filling out their bodies and start, becoming a lot more athletic. And so I think a lot of kids, that's like the dropout rate too for sports. It's like
Yep.
And so a lot of kids will either they peak at that moment and they're like, I'm as good as I'm going to get at this sport. Everybody's passing me. I'm going to quit. Or kids, lock in and like, I'm good at this and I have more to give. And I have my pitcher is this big and I'm only this way, this high up, I can fill it up. But yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is to just not compare. I just read this article by Kevin Love the other day. It was an amazing article. It's about his panic attack that he had. I don't know if you remember that when that happened. But his big thing is everybody's going through something. Yeah. And so, with my kids, when, they're late bloomers, I've got some kids, they're the tall, lanky type. My 15-year-old is 6'9" and still growing. And so they're late bloomers as far as, they're getting more and more strong and athletic as they go. But like, they're looking at everybody else. Like, this kid can dribble. He's low to the ground. Of course he can dribble between his legs and do all this crazy stuff. You've got a longer way to go.
Yeah.
So if you're going to compare yourself to someone else, you got to take everything. Like, you got to take all their problems. You got to take everything they got. You can't just pick and choose. I want this from this person, this from that person. So yeah, I think, being comfortable with yourself and not comparing would be definitely the biggest thing I would
say.
Wow, that's a great message. I mean, and what would you say maybe to those, I guess I'm throwing kind of myself in that boat as well, to the parents of those aged kids to kind of help that process along, to maybe help them bridge that gap?
That's good.
Is it more therapy, maybe talking? What is a couple of maybe points that you can give the parents at that age, since it's such a critical age?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's equally difficult for the parents to see, all these kids are so good. Like, my kid's never going to make it. Like, is this it for them, And so I would say, the biggest thing is don't project that fear onto your kid.
Yeah.
Because they know, they can see it. Remember the unspoken things. I would say, you preach that, like, I love being in this moment with you. Like, are we having so much fun today as a family? Like, this is so great. I love playing this sport. So you make it about that, about the current experience they're having, and then not measuring them. Yeah. Like, hey, so-and-so was at the gym today. That could be you,
That's true. That's true.
That's fun, kids. So, be there for them. Like, anything they could do. What do you want to work on? Do you want to work on anything? More so than,
Wow, that's crazy. Like, saying it like that, because again, I go back to when the points you're making now, and even then, we've all kind of done it. I remember at times I'd tell my daughter, hey, why aren't we working out today? Why aren't we putting the work in? And not seeing it, but maybe whether you're seeing it, kids at this age, they're formative. They're going to respond more to having fun than they are to being like required generally, right? I mean, if they're having fun, they're going to put the work into it, man. That's crazy, Danielle. You have such a wise take on sports medicine and just sports psychology, and that's why we were so thankful to track you down.
Right.
Not only that, Danielle, but you're also, you know, if you know anything about the show, we're huge proponents for female leadership, and that's something you fit to a T. You give back to society. I don't even question. I'm sure girls love coming up and talking to you as much
Yep.
as we have. You're a great outlet and a conduit for girls to feel safe in a safe space.
Yeah.
And that's what really sports is all about. It should be more about learning something. It's a parallel to life. Sports is great. You know, we keep score, then we're done, but it's what it teaches you in life. So really by
Yeah.
proxy, what you're really doing, you're being a strong female leader who's helping people become better citizens, not really just
Yeah.
athletes. And we can't thank you enough for
Absolutely.
that. Right, Dan? Right, Dan?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, some of the things you were saying, like Josh said, you know, I was kind of, you know, looking at myself and pointing at myself, because I've done a number of those things, and you try as a parent, you want the best for them, but sometimes you push a little bit too hard. And especially,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with some of those parents that were athletes themselves and played at a higher level, you know, it's tough to kind of pull back the reins, because like you said, we were at a younger age driven a different way. You know, it was always push, push, push. Now it's, you know, that avoid that burnout. You got to, like we said
Wow.
earlier, read the room. So it's a great message. I can't thank you enough for giving us your time to tell us and remind us of all that, and teach us something along the way.
Wow. Well, Danielle, I will say this: the first of many, as you know how we do around here. Once you come on once, we try to make you an
Yeah.
alum. As you do more with your brand, as you continue to grow the brand, as you're speaking more, you know, this is a conduit. We'd love to have you back on in the future. We've already became, you know, good fast friends since we met, and we're going to keep that partnership going. Let this be the first of many, Danielle. I know we're in your corner, and thank you for sharing some of your wisdom. And as Dane and I really mean it, let's make sure this is the first of many times we have you on the show. Okay, so.
I'd love to. I really appreciate the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Danielle, like I said,
you.
we'll get this out to the world as soon as we can. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to work with you tonight. Guys, go check her out. She's on social media. We'll put the links out there later, Facebook and Instagram. And as she's taking on clients next month, it's right around the corner. Please, please, please do yourself a favor and look her up. Your athlete and you as a parent won't regret it. So that's Danielle Brand. Danielle, thank you, my friend. It was great catching up with you, and we'll do it again very soon. Okay.
Yeah,
thank you, my
absolutely.
friend. So. Thank you so much. So Dane, that's with Danielle, man. I'm telling you, man, she's everything that she says she is and more. What'd you think of her? Wasn't she awesome?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you talk to somebody like that, you're always going to learn something, you know, because they're this avenue now, as people grow wiser and try to become, you know, the best parent they can be. I mean, you look to people like that have all that wealth of knowledge, but they draw it from all the things that they've read as well. So the best of all worlds, and you're going to learn something, and we're all going to be better from it, like you said.
Man, yeah, it was. I got to meet her, our good friend Anna. You know, we live streamed for Anna, then we got to meet her and hang and kind of talk to her and all that. And she just left this impression on me, Dane, when I first met her, because she came up to me the first. I was in there. You and Justin were live streaming inside this arena, and I was in the venue. And I said, man, there's just something about the information she's saying. And I kind of looked it up and had several people, even one of our coaches reached out and says, hey, can I get the link to what she's saying about the sports burnout? Because I really want to go back through that. And they know one person led it the next, and they were watching it, talking through it. And man, that's such a real thing. But she said a lot of people don't think about the parents. These parents will run themselves ragged. They'll spend thousands of dollars a year and frazzle themselves and live vicariously through these kids sometimes. And the parents are so stressed out. The kid doesn't want to let them down. They've lost the idea of having fun. It's just taking a mental toll on them, you know? So, she puts it in a way where the main thing she says, Dane, is when you're in sports, you should be having fun. Otherwise, it's counterproductive. Nobody's succeeding if you're not having fun. Did you catch that when she said that?
Yeah, absolutely. You know? And the other thing that kind of hit me as we were going through the interview was, you know, we talked to, like you said, Kenny Gajewski, Joe Coons, you know, even a lot of the athletes we talked to, Sarah, talking about whenever they get to college, you know, working on that mental aspect of a game. Now it's one of those where it's out there, and you're hoping that now even in the high school ranks, they would start doing those kind of things, and it would help these athletes greatly with, you know, becoming better people and learning to, you know, calm the storm and kind of find their way through it the best they can with all the mental strength. I mean, because you already know they have the physical attributes to play the game, but it's just the mental side of it. You want them to be the best they can be in both worlds, mentally and physically.
Wow. Man, what a month, Dane, as we've changed the format. So a few weeks ago we had sports medicine, sports nutrition, and now we had sports psychology. It just kind of completes that realm of what we want to talk about, kind of mind, body, and she even kind of mentioned some of the a little bit of the yoga stuff too, just the mental side, even the deeper level, man. So that was it was great having Danielle Brand. Obviously, she's spoken highly of, and as you can see why. So you guys check her out on social media. That'll be the first of many. We got a lot of good content coming up over the summer and the fall. We'll have a small break towards the end of July, but for the most part, look for fresh content weekly. Dane and I will be taking on a new segment pretty soon where you get to hear some of Dane and I's personal thoughts of our own, just Dane and I. A little segment that we'll be doing coming up pretty soon with just us. So looking forward to kind of picking Dane's brain on that. But for now, we'll give you guys some time back in your evening. Of course, Dane from the great state of Tennessee. Make us proud out there. Don't forget, as always, that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.